Hi, it's nice to be with you again. I'm Annina, one of the facilitators for the Coloring Art and Creativity group that meets at the Huntington Public Library, the main branch, every Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m. And we're open to everybody, and we would love to see you again once the library reopens. In the meantime, I hope that everybody is safe and healthy. And one of the positive things maybe about sheltering in place and about staying safe is that maybe you have a little extra time at home, hopefully to yourself sometimes, and you've got a little corner or a little nook in your apartment or your house where you can have some art stuff, some creative stuff, and sit down and have some fun now and again. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. The last video, we talked a little bit about adding texture to your coloring or your artwork. That would do some scratching, some glue. And today I thought we would talk about using scissors, cutting, and also watercolor. So hopefully you have some big scissors that are pretty good, pretty sharp, and then also smaller scissors. This is kind of a fun pair that I have. They're nice and sharp, and to get in if you want to do some detail work. The next thing is the watercolor, and that can be anything, any kind of brush, no fuss, no worries. I've got little travel set, the pan set. I also like tubes, if you happen to have a couple tubes that you like of colors. And as always, you can don't have to have a fancy palette, just use some scraps of paper for a palette. The next thing you'll need is not the watercolor, but the coloring page itself. So either you're working from a coloring book or you are printing pages off of the internet. You can do that. All kinds of pages, and they're usually free. And if you do that, go ahead and print out maybe 2 or 3 or 4 extras. And with the coloring book, maybe you make some photocopies or scan in and print out. That way you don't feel like you just have one and you're going to ruin it with all your experimenting. So I would recommend having at least 2 or 3 copies on good paper, especially for watercolor cardstock, and if your printer can handle it, watercolor paper. It doesn't have to be super heavy. Your printer probably won't like it, but nice quality. And what inspired me about the watercolor and the scissors was that at one of the last meetings of the coloring club, we were doing watercolor coloring. And one of the members, our members, Nancy Dodge, did a terrific piece. This is a rooster, and it was in a coloring book. And there was some other kind of background, I believe, that she went ahead and colored in. And then she came back, or she went home, and she decided to cut the rooster out. And I think it just came out so well. She cut the rooster out, and she just made her own background. She painted a sunrise and the fence that he's sitting on. And she painted it on watercolor paper. And then she put the rooster on. And what also works really well is she didn't glue him flat. You can't quite see with this. But she has an admirer here, my cat Tux. And you can, she actually used a piece of raised tape to give it a nice 3D look. So this really inspired me. And this is kind of what the direction I think I wanted to go in today. So I found a design on the internet. Okay, Tux, that's enough. Yes, say goodbye. This one is by Eric Dowdle, who is a pretty well-known coloring book artist and folk artist. This is called Colonial Williamsburg. I really liked it. I liked the building. I liked the clouds. I'm pretty sure they're clouds, but I wasn't completely sure. I thought, this is sky, but let me print out a couple and see where I go with this. Here was my first attempt on a piece of cardstock. I was kind of figuring out some of the colors. I went pretty traditional, kept the palette pretty limited, and I decided, okay, sky, and then I could have kept going there. But then I realized I was really enjoying the coloring. This probably took me about 2.5, 3 hours of pretty solid work. And I suddenly thought, wow, this could be field. And these could kind of be, maybe, I don't know. I also began to think, who could live here? Who might have lived here? This is the governor's house in Williamsburg, I think is what it was called. And who lived here? Couple, English nobleman, a governor. And I remembered a little book I had, one of my favorite books. I have a lot of art books. This is called The Art Book, published by Phaidon. Wonderful book. And I remembered a painting that I particularly loved, hopefully around the same time, by Thomas Gainsborough. And what a lovely couple. And I thought, I want to put them in this piece, and then I'm going to make that sky a field. Well, you don't have to get too fancy about it. I went ahead and I traced the couple, just simple tracing paper, and then I was able to put them into my next version. You could either trace it in with tracing paper. I actually did scan it and put it in with using Photoshop, and I can talk about that sometime. But here is my next version. So you see, I figured out the colors, and I pretty much stuck with the colors. Then I went green here, and I used some texture from the time before to make it look sort of like grass. And then I was able to put the couple in. That informed the clouds. Now they're kind of these garden gates, sort of, but they're still clouds. Anyway, I had a lot of fun. I went into my own world with this, probably total about 4 or 5 hours of work spread out over a couple days. And it really took me to another place. And finally, I found another one of his designs, another dowdle design. And I thought that would also be fun to use the scissors with. I love the design. I think it's right on, but I didn't want to do quite so much work. Look, there's this whole city behind here to color. And I thought, I really don't want to spend too much time with the coloring. I want to do more of the watercolor, the cutting. So I went ahead and I cut out the boat. And I had to really get into the nitty-gritty a bit there with around the people and everything. But I think it's going to be good. And then I found a piece of watercolor paper, which I can then glue this onto, and I can either do it vertical or horizontal. And I can either go the route that Nancy did and just make a nice, beautiful, I could see this with the sunset and a couple of birds. Or those clouds from his previous design, you could just sketch them in and trace them using tracing paper again, or just cut and paste with the scissors, or just copy them. Clouds, you can copy them and put some birds in. I think that would look nice too. Anyway, I hope this gets you going with some ideas with watercolor and with scissors. And hope to see you very soon when the library reopens. And until then, please stay safe and get creative. Thanks so much.